Welcome to Real Talk, the podcast highlighting remarkable individuals and the role that real estate has played in their success. I'm your host, Aisha Campbell, CEO of Proven Properties. Join me as I interview Mrs. Andrea Cowan. Let's get started. Welcome, Andrea, to Real Talk, our podcast about real estate and so much more. As the CEO of Lillan Limited, as an entrepreneur, as an astute businesswoman, and as someone that I have truly admired over the years, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on this program.
The feeling is mutual. Thank you so very much for having me. It's my absolute pleasure.
So let's talk.
Let's talk.
Lillan Limited.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that company. How did it start? How did you end up becoming the CEO?
Lillan was founded by my in-laws, Peter's parents, Lily and Ivan Cowan. And actually on Lily's deathbed, she invited me. And I reluctantly agreed. I mean, she was very persistent. She wanted me to join her son, Peter, in the business. I was already a member of my family business, Jamaica Wells, which my father and mother founded before. So we had to give it some serious thought, which I did. So I consulted my parents, my father and my mother, and mommy, less than my father. My mother was a little more reluctant than my father was to just say, join your husband, which I did. And so I joined Peter with the family business.
Okay. How has that journey been? As an entrepreneur, and you can tell us a little bit about what Lillan does for those who may not know, and how has that journey been leading such a company?
So when I joined the company, it was, 1986, I believe was when I joined the company. It was not what it is today, Peter's mother and father had originally had a little boat that was called Lillan. And when they branched off out of a need, they had a business, a farm that was not as successful as they had hoped. They got themselves into a bit of challenges there with the loss of one of their employees and a suit and all kinds of things. So they branched off into trading food, basic food items. At first, they used to trade it through other larger entities, but they then started importing on their own. At that stage, I joined when it was just one item that they carried, actually.
So they only traded one item when you took over?
One item.
When you joined?
When I joined the business, they had shifted from fish and commercial fishing into imports, basic food items, but at the time, it was just one item that they had. Of course, being the person that I am, one wasn't enough. And, funny joke, we had a manual Excel sheet that was used to measure all the sales. You know what? I have to rephrase that because it was one trouble item. There were a few others, I think maybe 6 of them. But my biggest challenge at that time was to try to move 6 container loads of bags that were in storage. That, of course, was a big challenge for me. But having had my own business, which was a t-shirt company, Ebony Prints, that was what I did.
Okay, so you had other businesses before that. Now that's the entrepreneur talking. We'll talk a little bit about that, but go ahead.
So, yes. So that was the matrix of Lillan Limited. Stepping out of what I found to be fun and a challenge. Going into somebody else's business, building it up from a negative position to a positive one.
Very successful today. There's an entrepreneurial mindset that I know, and actually, congratulations, because you got nominated this year. Lillan got nominated for EY Entrepreneur of the Year. So that's amazing, and congrats to you and the team.
Thank you very much. We were nominated by one of our partners, I would have to say, BNS, nominated us, and we had to complete a rigorous process where we were measured against 100 other companies throughout the world, and in particular the Caribbean. They had not had a category like this since 2008. So it was an honor for us to have been recognized as a family-owned business that they thought was worthy of this award.
Absolutely, that's no small feat. So I really kudos to you and the team. And it speaks to leadership, it speaks to foresight, it speaks to just being unstoppable, which I associate all of those things with you, Andrea. Let's talk a little bit about along the way, your journey and how you have built the business, yes, but the role that real estate has played just in you expanding the business and also personal wise in terms of your real estate holdings. How have you approached that aspect of your wealth creation and success?
It's vital. I mean, Peter and myself, we got married in 1985 and had nothing that we could say was our own. But we did have family support, which is always a blessing. My father and mother built their own little empire, Jamaica Wells, from nothing also. What I see as the persistent, most integral, necessary trait in business is that you have to be relentless. You have to be persistent. Failure is not an option. This is something I grew up hearing, believing. Failure is just not an option. You will have obstacles along that journey, but it is just that. You have to take it in stride, settle down, reevaluate the reasons why you didn't succeed this time around,
yes,
and go for it, go again. So Peter and I started our journey together. Fresh out of college, Peter and myself decided we would marry at a very tender age, actually. I was 20 when I got married.
That's
yes.
young. Yes, that's young.
But we decided
together
we built together from the start. And one of the things that we truly believed in is that we will just start small. We'll start. And we did that by buying a piece of land, because when we looked around and decided we wanted to own our own home, the landscape it just looked like an unachievable dream. So we said, you know what, let's just start with land. And that's what we did. We built our own home. We took our time.
So you bought the land.
Yes.
And then built over time.
We built the house, yes. Well, we bought the land and had it for like about 3 years.
Right.
Save. At the time, I had the T-shirt company.
Yes.
Ebony Prince T-shirts. And decided that was going to be the thing that would take me through it after work. Right. So we went to all the craft fairs. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was a day of T-shirts and reggae jamming, and
so that was your other business.
That was my other business. And of course, anybody who is an entrepreneur knows that it's not good enough to just go for one. You have to have that little thing on the side. You have to have that other thing that, keeps you energized, and that's what it did for me.
That fuels your spirit.
Absolutely.
Right. And so you use that to also supplement and build up the savings towards the home?
Correct. Yes. And I mean, we didn't have the money sitting down. We had to work towards it. And of course, you buy what you can afford and just build on it. We were persistent and worked hard at just getting started. Yeah. And from there, we, having owned your own home, it did not seem so impossible.
Absolutely.
And of course, in business, I strongly believe that owning your own property is the way to go. Why would you not invest in yourself? So buy your property, own that property, and add to your portfolio.
Yes, yes. And this is some really great advice, because there's so many people out there that are thinking, I don't think I'll ever achieve this goal. It seems so out of their reach. And I think if you take it, as you said, start small. Maybe start with the land. So maybe you can afford to buy the land, but you cannot afford to buy the land with the house. But that doesn't mean you don't start.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's some great advice. And then build on it over time. So did you ever use debt to finance any of your acquisitions?
I was very hesitant to use debt to finance anything that I was doing, because I honestly believe that you need to start small, build on that, and then acquire something that will be used to support that debt. Sometimes the mistake is to take on the debt before you can manage it. You have to develop the ability to manage that responsibility. But if you don't borrow, there will be a cap to your
To how
capacity
much
to
you can
grow.
grow. Correct.
So but there is this balancing act to make sure that when you do borrow, you're borrowing at a time where you can manage it. You have to be able to plan for the unplanned expense, the accident, the pregnancy that you were not planning, the health issue that comes along the way. You have to make sure that you have a little nest egg that can bolster whatever you're taking on. You don't want to get into a situation where you've maximized everything. You have it down to $1, and then
You're
you have
living
a
on the
mishap.
edge.
It is
You're living on
definitely
the
not.
edge.
No, that's not
Yes.
wise. You have to think of all the what ifs.
Contingency plan.
You have to think of the things that can go wrong, and should they go wrong, you have to have a little reserve.
Okay. So use the debt, but be wise about how you use it. And so that would bring me to the question of, okay, so the first investment would have been for your home, but
Yes.
then there are other types of investments, I'm assuming, or you can tell me, investment properties where you have that recurring income, and how did you get into that, and how did you approach that next phase of real estate investment?
So having, had a successful business, that's the first step, because you have to have a reliable source of income, one that you have control over, preferably. For me, I believe in my value, myself, and my ability. So I'm willing to take the risk on me. I know that I'm going to do what it takes to get through whatever it is that comes my way, with God in the middle. Because of course, you have to have a source of strength.
Yes.
And there will be times on that journey when you have to say, seriously, God? I didn't see this one coming. So you have to be able to rebuild yourself when the challenges come, which is inevitable.
Yes. Along the way, and you face these challenges, did you feel at any point in time like this was insurmountable and I couldn't grow past a certain point, or I shouldn't take on another investment property, or, what are some of the challenges you face, even in just building up? Let's talk about your real estate portfolio. What are some of the challenges?
So with real estate, you will know when the time is right. You will know when you have a little reserve and it's time to take another leap of faith. The economy in these last few years, post-COVID and so on, many people talk about the challenges of COVID, but not the opportunities. There are some companies that you would have seen rise and thrive during COVID. And that's because of they saw an opportunity, they saw a need, and did what they needed to do. That's the secret of success. Things change. You have to be able to adapt and move with it with confidence. Having built your little reserve, having built your relationships, that is something that is invaluable. Relationships are the key driver.
At that.
No, but something, the truth is, Aisha, if you keep burning your bridges,
there's nowhere to go. You can't move very far, right?
So, even if you agree to disagree, look, I really didn't see our relationship going this way, but, my friend, let's just part ways.
Yes.
But there is no need. I have never burnt a bridge. I've had tough relationships. And I will say to them, look, this isn't working out for us. So maybe it's time for us to part ways. But let's see if we can come to some common understanding about how we will part ways. It should never be where you get into, I was driving on the road yesterday and I saw two grown men going fist to fist. Why? Why do we think we need to get to that stage?
To resolve.
That doesn't resolve anything.
No.
It takes you down a path that will just create more problems. So why we agree to disagree? First of all, if you're going into any relationship, you need to know your partners, know what you're getting into, know each other, know your strengths and weaknesses. We don't have them all.
Yes.
So doing it together makes all the difference in the world.
That's really insightful, because even as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor, I'm sure, and I've seen it, where opportunities come to the table or people bring opportunities because of the relationship.
Yes.
Oh, this piece of land or this house is going up for sale, and they think about you, or they think about the person that they have a relationship with, and they're looking out for their best interests.
Yes.
And so just in the business world, I think that's definitely key in building and growing your portfolio.
It's in every world, you know, personal and business. Would you
Yes,
want to do
true.
business with someone you don't trust? You need
So
to.
we're talking about trust too.
It's down to trust, relationship building, and trust. There are some people I know, Aisha, you'll think of right now when you say, what? Never again will I go down that path. And it's because of what happened during whatever relationship you had, be it personal or business.
Yeah, that's interesting. What I want you to tell our audience though, if you had to give them advice about where to look within Jamaica for real estate, so if you had to give them some tips, some of your, you know, your guru tips, where would you tell them to look? How would you tell them to approach it?
The best way to make an investment is to catch it on the incline, right? On the upswing. You don't want to go in there when it's at the peak. You want to go in there when you catch a little vision of what's to come. We know the highway to St. Thomas has been in limbo for a very long time. But the persons that catch the vision of what will come out of that highway development, going into St. Thomas and taking you all the way around to Portland, that, I believe, is an opportunity.
Yeah.
All these new highways that will take you down into a new space, think of all the things that will come out of the highway. So St. Thomas, going around to Portland, St. Mary, I think, presents itself with many opportunities.
Opens up that whole
That corridor is yours for the taking. Of course, real estate investment takes time. You can't expect to invest this year and reap the benefits next year.
Yes.
It's something that you're going to have to sit and wait.
Yes.
It's going to be something that you'll see earning some potential value in about 10 to 15 years. I'm not the expert, but that's what I would estimate.
It is long cycle, and so I would say patience.
Vision first.
Vision first.
first.
Be able to be ahead of what you say, you know, on the incline, or ahead of that curve, ahead of, you know, everybody coming in. You don't want to buy when the land value has already appreciated to its max.
Right.
And then patience to really see that build out that you would have envisioned, because even if you buy that land, it doesn't mean that the supermarket is coming down the road next day, or
Exactly.
you know, all the infrastructure to support it. But if you can, still hold on to that asset.
Right.
Because 5 years down the road, maybe 10 years down the road, that's going to be super valuable. You can either sell it or develop it or whatever it is that you may want to do. So that's
The other area that I would definitely consider is City Kingston. The city of Kingston has taken a while to redevelop itself.
when it's downtown.
Downtown Kingston.
Kingston.
We love our Jamaica. Many of us didn't think that tourism would be a Kingston product, right? But
North Coast is
yeah, we are coming to Jamaica, but we do have a vibrant entertainment industry.
Yes.
And so Kingston has a vast amount of potential if you peg it to the entertainment industry. So I would say that if we could just manage ourselves as a people and realize that we need to take care of our country, we should not be having to say to anybody, don't dump your rubbish in the gullyways. We should not have to be talking about throwing your garbage out without, you know, and we should not have to be talking about some of the basic things about how to take care of our environment. This is the one thing that we have. Planet Earth is finite. Yeah, we have people that are talking about going to outer space, but until they develop that,
We're here.
Let's figure out how we can manage this one, you know?
And Jamaica has a great product.
Absolutely.
By virtue of the natural
Resources that we have,
that we have.
vastly untapped. But our people continue to destroy what we have, not realizing that we really need to take care of it.
Yeah.
We have a gem,
Yeah.
an untapped gem, and we just need to really maximize our potential by taking care of that.
And that's important in the context of real estate because we're talking about the built environment, whatever
Yes.
we do should be enhancing and not
Looking
detracting.
long.
Yes.
We need to be looking
Long
to
term.
2050.
Exactly.
Which is what they're all talking about now,
Yeah.
how we need to make sure that we protect our environment.
Yes,
And
so
the
that's
2050
definitely
plan.
a part of this conversation. You can't do one without the other.
That's
You
right.
can't be talking about even investing or building and not be thinking about how is it going to impact the environment and minimize the negative impacts on the environment as we go about doing that. So that's some great advice. So we're talking highway to St. Thomas, St. Mary, downtown Kingston. What about the highway to Mandeville?
Well, of course, any highway. I mean,
So infrastructure opens up the space.
The highways, I remember when the conversation started about Highway 2000 many moons ago, persons didn't realize the value of having road access.
Yes.
So, and when we ramp that up to having other types of transportation, rail, ocean, we will reap those values. But certainly, any highway is creating access to vast amount of potential.
So let's talk a little bit about real estate and how you view it in the context of just building generational wealth. How do you view it when you're going out there to invest in another property, land, home? How are you thinking about it in the context of your family?
So I will think about it in the context of my family. As I mentioned before, that my father and mother before me invested in property. So we learned from a young age that, look, you don't have to have the money piled up. It definitely is not. Most people who are wealthy don't have a lot of cash sitting because the money should be working for you. And one of the real ways to make your money work for you is property. As I said, that's a finite. You're not going to find more land than planet Earth. Right. Definitely Kingston, Jamaica. Jamaica is small, 2005, how many square miles that we have. So generational wealth would have come from my parents before me who saw it fit to own property. Having owned the property, you transfer those properties, if properly managed with a good lawyer and a will, because this is the other thing that you need to be mindful of. You need, once you own one property, a good will. That protects you, it protects your family, it protects your investment. You don't want it tied up in the courts forever. You want to make sure that whatever your will is put on in writing, your desire for your family is put in writing and protected.
Very important. You don't want the fight after.
No. So my parents before me, in fact, my father, who is 90, executed what is called a living will.
Yes.
So he transferred properties to us, his children, prior to his past. Well, he's alive. He's alive and well, and he can still give us good advice. But he did that. And many people question. He says, so really, why would you do that? What happened if your children disenfranchise you and don't treat you right? He said, then guess what? He would have done something vastly wrong and he would have deserved it. And that is true. We take care of each other because we know that we love each other and will forever take care of each other. That's a must.
So there's no hesitation there on his part to do that.
No. Yes. We speak every day. And he knows.
Yes.
I will never hurt him.
Yes. And that's important, because in that way, and when you have those ties and you have that vision as a family unit.
Absolutely.
Right? The hard work that goes into one generation or that one generation puts in to build to this level.
Yes.
It does not all go to naught because the next generation now takes that and further builds on it, and all in a space of respect, love, trust.
Absolutely. So I'm not saying that is easy.
No.
Because anybody who has a family knows you're going to have some people who, are challenging. But for each challenge that you have in a family, if you have that determination that, look, this is a family and we're going to make it work. Yes. You sit down and you work through the issues. They come along. They will come along. But with God in the middle, as I keep saying, and with good family values and structure and the basic commandments that govern life. We'll talk about that. I mean, in today's world, many people don't like talking about faith and what creates structure. But those 10 commandments, trust me, abide by those basic rules that govern life, and they'll take you a very long way. I am truly blessed. I have a husband that loves me. We love each other, and I'm grateful. The journey has been up and down and whatever, but throughout that journey, we've kept God in the middle. That has been good. We've been blessed with 2 children, Brandon and Kristen. They have their spouses, and by the grace of God, their spouses are in our business. Now, talk about a leap of faith. Well, that is a leap of faith, because relationships are not easy, but you work through the challenges as they come. And when they come, you determine that it must work, because you have established the reason why you're together at the outset, and you made a good choice. If you don't make a good choice, that can be sticky. But you maintain that relationship. Do whatever you need to do to make it work, and create a template with, guidelines. This is how we're going to do this, because this is what makes it work for this family.
Yeah.
Establish those guidelines, stick with it, and keep the master in the middle, and you're good.
And you're good. That's key, because you don't achieve very much if you're in the middle of turmoil and chaos, and it sucks the energy out of the room, out of you, out of just being able to achieve your goal. So when you speak about relationships, you speak about working through the challenges. I see that as time, and as you said, both professionally and personally, even in terms of achieving your goals, whatever they may be.
Right.
Whatever they may be, achieving your goals. I wanted to speak to you a little bit also about your mentoring of young women.
Yes.
Yes.
It's near and dear.
Yes.
It's
Tell me
near
about that
and
passion
dear to
project.
my heart. Yes.
Yeah, and impact.
So you mean
Talking
women
impact.
business owners?
Yes.
Okay, so throughout my journey, I've always felt that having invested in my own life, and my mother has been integral in everything. She made teaching very simple. We worked in our office, Jamaica Wells, every summer. This is the way we all learn. Brandon started at Lillan when he was 9. He used to come in and have to climb up through spaces and pack this and pack that. And Ethan, our grandson now, he's 12. He's in the business and sees that he needs to be involved as well. His biggest dream, he says, is to be there with us in Lillan. So
that's good. At 12 years old.
At 12 years old. But my mother did teach us about, making sure that you are well, being your best self, and giving back. So it's something you take care of family, you take care of your community, you take care of the people in your space. And it doesn't need to be a lot of things. I mean, it can be as simple as, look, I have some ripe bananas this morning. I have a little more than I need. You bring it into the space and you share. Yeah. While you're sharing the bananas, you're sharing your ideas, you're sharing your thoughts. Women business owners, for me, Lorna Green and Sandra Samuels, brought me into that organization at the time, because they didn't think women had enough in the space. People were not seen. We were seen in the Flair magazine, if you remember that, but we were not really seen in business, because we were thought to have our space in the home. Yes, you think of us when you think of fashion or makeup, but not business. Mm-hmm. Yet, if you think back to each of your own stories, the best business partner that we've all had is our mother. Mm-hmm. Because she knows how to work out and make dollars stretch and navigate the course of life. So women business owners was deliberately thought about and enacted to promote women in business and to build up. So we launched a project supported by the American the investment fund.
Not IDB.
The IDB.
Okay,
There you
yeah.
go. The IDB had a project and it was identified and we wanted to develop. At first, we thought we would do 1,000 women. What we did find, though, was that it was hard to find 1,000 women in Jamaica who had successful businesses or had a business that they wanted to finance. We cut the numbers down to 300, and we were able to manage that. But one of the things that we find is that we are a very cottage and small business minded group of women don't like to take risk. And a part of taking risks is growing your business to the point where you have access to wealth, but women don't like to borrow. So we tend to think that, you should be able to do it out of pocket. You will build your business to a certain level,
Yes.
out of pocket.
Yes, but you can't.
But the only way to grow your business to the next level is, first of all, making sure your accounts are in order.
Yes.
And that you have reliable financials, because the bank will need that. And so you do these things and then approach the bank,
Yes.
not before. So build yourself up, make sure you have proper structure in your business, and then you can access funds at a higher level,
And allow you to grow.
which will make you grow at a different pace.
So if you had to give advice to that small female-owned business owner who's struggling, may not be seen the way, wants to start building their wealth, whether it's through real estate or otherwise, can you share some tips, some steps, some words of advice to that person out there?
So I say this all the time. We each have a gift and a talent. Look at your gift, your talent, and develop that. Don't look at what someone else is doing to determine where you need to go and try and find and make a little money. No. Focus on your talent. Develop it to the stage where you can actually market it. COVID taught us many people were stuck at home and decided at that point to try their
Different things, yes.
little talent.
Yes.
And that has brought not only so much joy to that entrepreneur who found a niche and developed their natural talent during that very difficult time. So in fact, that has worked out so well for so many that mainstream jobs are having a hard time getting employees.
Because people are saying, well, I've started my cake business.
That's
or I've
correct.
started- Okay.
Out of the passion in you, work with your innate passion, develop that.
Okay, great advice. Staying in our lane, as you would say, you're working on you, building on what you're great at. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right. Even though you may support the left and the right, but you're not competing.
Stay focused.
Stay focused and build on that. Okay, so now they've built on that. What sort of investment tips would you give them? So the business is now making more money, it's doing better, it may have turned the corner.
Right.
Maybe during COVID it was just rough. Somebody said, nah, go on. Right. So, but they've turned the corner and they're making a little bit more money now. How would you tell them to approach just investing so that they can achieve certain goals, including?
So one of the things that persons had identified, some people made some good money by buying a property that's not so cute, it looks bad, it needs some work. That's going to be an opportunity. You buy at the point where it's not, nobody sees the value in the property. Develop that property and you will move to the next one. So that's a very great way to start. Just get started. Build up your little nest egg and start.
So you're saying, again, we talked about it before, the vision. So you may see a building and you're like, wow, that's not the greatest looking building. It's not in the greatest location. It may be an okay location that has potential.
Right.
Because we talk about gentrifying,
Gentrify, yes.
right? Get past that risk averse nature that you may
Have to.
and say, I'm going to take a chance on this.
Right.
Right? Because you may get it at a deal. You may get
Well,
it at
that's
a
when
deal.
you will really be able to capitalize on your purchase.
Absolutely.
Because if you get it at the right price, then you can develop.
You can develop it. So you get it at that right price, fix it up, perhaps hold it for a while. And then when you decide to sell it, or if you decide to rent it, that's when now you're really extracting the value from that real
Absolutely.
estate. And so that is what I think,
Ideally, if you can establish that
yes.
and rent it where the rent will pay the mortgage, then that's ideal.
That should be the goal, right? Yes, it may not always be that way. And as you said, Andrea, you start small. So start where your pocket and your hand can reach.
And when you make the mistake, it will not cause you to fail, because you will make some mistakes on the journey.
Yeah.
But it should not impact your lifestyle or your how you've grown up to that point. Once you've been cautious, make informed, educated choices,
Right.
and move on.
Well, that's a lot of great advice. I mean, and this is not only for women, this is for any business owner and any entrepreneur. I know you have that passion where you mentor actual women in business, but when we speak broadly about anyone that has gone out there and said, listen, I'm going to take a chance on my passion or build that business, that it's not an easy road.
It is
pretty
not.
sure
If it was easy, everybody would have been successful at it.
it's not an easy, but
Really.
mindset, right?
It is about determination. It is not a 100-meter dash. Okay. It is a marathon.
Okay.
Stay the course.
In wrapping up, tell our audience out there why real estate. Why real estate as an investment choice? Why real estate as an asset class that you have chosen to play in?
Real estate has a finite value. Real estate has a value today that if you wait, it's only going to increase in value, because there is nowhere else. We have no more planet Earth. So, one sure investment. It's not the fastest way to make money, but it is guaranteed to grow over time. You just wait it out. It'll come.
All right. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much, Andrea, for sharing and for the insights and the tips that hopefully will open the eyes of someone who's looking to invest and who's looking to even grow their business. You're truly an inspiration. Thank you.
It has been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.